People, happy Monday. Hope all is well with you. A lot of stuff to get to tonight. We're going to do kind of a short one here tonight because I have been running around. Issue with my computer, and that's now getting fixed. So I've got my other old computer, hoping it doesn't flame out on me, but you never know. So far, though, she's running all right, which is a bonus. So much stuff, though, that has happened, obviously, in the last week. And I think we need to take a deep breath here in this country because we got a lot of shit going on that is a lot of fighting, a lot of anger. But I watched very little of the Charlie Kirk stuff yesterday. And by very little, I mean outside of one woman, I watched none of it. I caught the highlights for the other stuff. But I did watch, to me, the one thing that mattered. And that was Charlie Kirk's wife. Now she's a widow. And what she delivered, I thought was talk about living your life, living your faith out loud. If you saw nothing else yesterday but this one thing, this is everything you need to see. So this Erica Kirk, she comes out. This is before Trump, and this is they come out. I mean, this is the crescendo. This is what it's all about right here. Trump does his stuff, and he he joked and like, see, he's egging people on because he talked about, I don't know, some crap about, I can't love, forgive people. That's not who I am. My enemies, the usual stuff that Trump was trying to be funny, right? He was trying to add levity to a situation that's tough. But everything you need to know right here.
That young man on the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
And I'm telling you, that right there is so powerful. Being able to forgive is so important. Whether you believe or not, God came here, he forgave us, and forgiving us and sending Jesus to die for us and to forgive us, taking the burden off us to be able to forgive other people. That is something that eats you up inside, hate and anger. And her, just days after her husband being assassinated by somebody who's in a very dark place in their world, full of hate and anger, she was able to forgive, which was just absolutely freaking amazing. Just top to bottom, incredible. And that said everything right there that I think, to me, that's all. Everything else, that Trump said this and so said this. And there were some people there that I can genuinely tell. You can look at them and say they've lost a friend. And then some of it turned into a rah-rah speech, which I didn't, wasn't going to be my jam. I knew that, but I wanted to see her, and she did not disappoint at all. At all. Speaking of Charlie Kirk and the family, tomorrow night, he is back, Jimmy Kimmel. It has been announced that Disney is bringing Jimmy back. I don't think they wanted to get rid of Jimmy. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And here, the reality is Jimmy's under contract. They were going to have to pay him. They didn't think in the boardroom that what he said was awful. And I continue to maintain this. It wasn't so much about what Jimmy said about Charlie and it being MAGA. A little bit, but it was more about the joke afterwards where, Jimmy was joking over the fact that Trump, they asked him about, hey, one of your friends died, a person that you were close with. And Trump's like, yes, it sucks, but look over here, the building and da-da-da-da. It was like one of those things where it made me, Jimmy said that, that's the fourth, grief is construction, the fourth stage of grief. I think that was the thing that pissed off the White House and the FCC. I maintain Trump doesn't care about the fighting that goes on when it comes to the news and the news cycle and all of that stuff. Trump loves the news and he loves to fight with those people. That to him is a very important thing, to fight with the news people, because he understands they need him and he needs them. So that right there is evident. He doesn't like to be made fun of. Being called out for something, he'll fight that all day. He doesn't like to be made fun of. And the late night comics are full of hate. Somewhere along the line, this is all they care about, is just hating on Trump. And it's not funny. Most of the time, it's not. And it's for a very small group of people, because there's only so many times you can hear how shitty a human being is. And you sit there and go, dude, do you have anything else? I mean, do you have any other jokes? Is there anything else that you do that is different than just hating this singular guy? So they're going to bring him back tomorrow, and we'll see. This is what I predict. I predict for the next several days, he'll have a nice little bump, and then eventually not a lot. And it'll slowly but surely fade away, because late night TV, nobody gives a shit about. I think of all the things that stick around, it's going to be the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, partially because Jimmy really doesn't hit too much on politics, and the stuff that he does hit with Trump, it's just, it's basic stuff. It's nothing that comes with, piss and vinegar and hate. But it also has the name The Tonight Show. So getting rid of The Tonight Show, I don't see that happening. But the other ones, it's nobody's watching these things. I mean, I keep saying you can put YouTube on and it's going to have bigger audience. You can throw YouTube out there and people are like, oh, that's pretty good. Right? I like that, because that's what people are watching. If it's not live sports, it's freaking YouTube. And most of you who watch this over the next several days go, that's pretty much all I want is YouTube. That's it. I watch YouTube. I watch live sports. That's it. So he'll come back. He'll have a bump. It'll last a couple days, and then it'll be, same as it's always been, especially over the last several, years, which is declining ratings because nobody watches television. Very few people do. They stream stuff. They pick stuff that's comfort food when it comes to streaming. They'll watch a new show. They'll get into it. But even then, what they're finding out in the streaming world is it is tough to maintain that audience for certain things, because the way that stream goes is, hey, we're going to do this show. We're going to do 8 episodes here. And then if we get picked up, we'll do 8 episodes some other time. Look at the Stranger Things. How long can you hide the fact that she's a grown woman? Okay, we get it. So it's like that's also become an issue. But there's no doubt that streaming's one, internet is one, the YouTube world is one. TV's going to have to pivot, and they got to do it in a much better way. And the Tonight Show, all of these things, I said, look, if you want to do something, what I would think would be fan-friggin-tastic, have a show where you book guests. So the guests are going to come on. Everybody's got to show up an hour or two before the taping of it. You have no host at all. You pick somebody from the crowd that hosts the show. Some Aunt Gertrude or somebody, some lady that shows up from the crowd. She's thinking she's there for a game show. They invite her ass down, right? She's got to be like, hello. She's from Buttnut, freaking Wisconsin or somewhere. Oh, for sure. Coming up next is a band called Korn. Just that to me, I would watch that all the time. I'd be like, this could be a disaster, right? It's going to be too loud for her. She's going to be scared. It's going to be fantastic, right? Some other guy thinks he's funny and all of his jokes fall flat, but that's okay because we're having fun and it's different. Get rid of the pomp and circumstance. Make it real. Have fun. Get real people and bring on the stars. Because how funny would it be, again, from, Gertrude from freaking Buttnut, Wisconsin, to interview, Harry Styles, who she probably has no idea who the hell Harry Styles is. And then, next it's Sabrina Carpenter. And she's like, oh, and right. And then you have freaking, some other person schlepping a book or something like that. And, they'll ask her questions like, do you like knitting? She's like, I'm freaking great at knitting. To me, that's a win right there, kids. That's a win. And finally, tonight, they've solved autism. That's what I heard. It was made apparent today when Trump talked about autism and blamed autism or somewhat on, well, he'll tell you, kind of, sort of.
First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay?
Of all of the metafins, that one's the best. That's Tylenol, acetaminophen.
Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol. During pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly.
So Tylenol, and again, I have not seen the research. I've not seen where they're coming up with this. Is it a possibility? Anything's a possibility. We would all love to figure out what is up with autism, right? Like part of the reason that there's so many more people diagnosed with autism is they've expanded the spectrum. So it's not just, everybody's lumped into this is autistic and we go from there. Kids that we went to school with that we look at today and go, yeah, kids was probably autistic, maybe Asperger's or something. They just didn't diagnose it back then the way that they do now. So the spectrum has gotten bigger. I'm sure there's some, things that are in some of these things that may cause something, but the wiring, it is the gazillion-dollar question of why. And I've got my eldest, she has autism. My two little brothers, who are my nephews, but they're adopted. They, I've got several little brothers and sisters, but two of them have autism. And this is, this is, for me, it hits home. And we'd like to know, sure, why? What was it? And, they talk about vaccines and they're looking into that. And we shouldn't gaslight people. I don't think we should gaslight anybody. We'd love to get to the bottom of what it is. And then there's also this sense of, is it a rewiring that happens? Is it one of the things I did when I coached my little brother's soccer team? He's special needs. His name's Spencer. He's in a wheelchair. And I used to coach his team for years. And he's got brain damage and a, trach and a G tube. That's how he eats. He's cerebral palsy. He has all these things. And one of them was, we noticed how much older, I used to tell my mom this all the time. I said, how much older the parents are. Comparatively, when I would coach like a club soccer team where, I'm coaching 15, 16-year-old kids and their parents are, in their 40s. And here I'm coaching, at times 10, 11, 12-year-old kids with special needs and their parents are in their 50s. And you're like, this is different. And some of it is genetics. One of the parents that we used to coach, a set of parents, they found out that there was a genetic thing between the two of them that caused certain things. So everybody would like to know. And before I poo-poo anything, I want to see what it is. If you're Tylenol all day, you're like, holy really? What the fuck? What? I get it. You got to be pissed. Do I think it's Tylenol altogether? No, I think it's probably a lot of things. And I think a lot of it is just genetics, right? I would love to be just this, hey, it's Tylenol and take one of these. And because that was one of the things they're talking about, is there a cancer treatment that they use in certain patients that could be capable of offsetting some of the things with it? It's possible. It is. But it was an interesting thing. And I like the fact that somebody's trying to figure it out. Do I think they figured it out in a few months? No, I don't. Do I think Tylenol may play a factor? I'd like to see the data and the facts and hear other experts besides the White House. No offense. Not really always buying what they're selling me, which gets me into a lot of trouble in this industry. Oh my God, I can't. No, because a lot of the shit's crazy what they say. But this is very interesting, no doubt. And this will be talked about. We're going to talk more about it, tomorrow on the radio show. Some of the other stuff we didn't get a chance to do today. The Tom Holman stuff. You guys have not seen this. So Tom Holman goes into is it Cava? Which is I think if it's like a Mediterranean, but it's like a Chipotle. And they do bowls and things like that, and pita wraps. And so he goes into a Cava, and this is September of last year, and somebody gives him a bag of cash for 50 grand. And he promises them, they're undercover, FBI, that he's going to help them secure contracts when Trump gets his second presidency, second term. And they're like, they've got him on tape, and they're like, we don't have enough. They're like, what? What do you mean you don't have enough? Well, we just don't have enough. Wait, I just want to go over this again. You don't have enough of him taking a bag of cash and on tape. Did he give the cash back? Said, I don't do those kind of things. No, they just dropped the cases. And why nobody's really talking about this the way they should be is beyond me. Because on top of that, then Trump went off on his DOJ, calling out Pam Bondi and everybody. Like, why aren't you going after Comey and Letitia James and all of these people? It's just crazy. These are fair questions that we need to be asking. Like, what are you doing? This is not a revenge tour. This is not a revenge tour. Luckily, you're up against the Democrats, and we'll go into it deeper tomorrow, who are just so underwater on everything because no matter what happens, they pick the worst option every time. Every time. Doesn't matter. You can only give them one option, and it's the best option available, and it's a win for them, and they will figure out how to punt it away. Because, and we're going to go over tomorrow about the fact that so much of where the Democrats lose is on the culture war stuff. And that's where, Charlie excelled, and a lot of people, like the culture war side of stuff is where Democrats have faltered and continue to falter day in and day out. By choosing the wrong things, where common sense says you go where the people are. You want to expand your tent, you go where the people are. They never seem to get that. It eludes them. I don't know why. I don't know what they're afraid of, but they better figure it out. They do. They better figure it out. And then we're going to get deeper in tomorrow with Palestine and what's going on there. You've got several countries now. I think you've got France, got the UK and Canada all recognizing Palestine. And then, of course, the usual stuff with Bibi and everybody coming back. And we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow because it is awful what's happening over there. And you and I shouldn't be afraid to challenge our politicians and other nations' politicians, in particular, a party like the Likud Party, which is led by Bibi and the crew, who want to destroy and remove a group of people to put in their people. And they're using October 7th, which was awful, and nobody denies that, as we can do anything we want, and our government's going along with it while people are dying, and the cost to them life-wise is we won't even know what that looks like, and we may never get the real answer. And the cost for us is people look at us and think, what the hell are you people doing, right? Like, you have no balls to sit there and say no to Bibi. And the second thing they think of, and this is, to me, important, is what does it cost us as a nation where we seem to be complicit in this? And this isn't about whether or not Israel should exist. Absolutely. They can defend themselves 110%. They should. That's duh. This is about whether or not you've gone past, right? You blew past defending yourself into punishment and taking the opportunity to go as hard as you can to take everything over. And that's what you're going to do. And then we could even talk about the money and everything else, which we'll get in more over the next couple of days. So follow along at Chad Benson Show, ChadBenson. If you'd like and subscribe, we appreciate it when you guys do that. On top of that, make sure to check out the morning show. We go live at 6 to 9 on the West Coast, 9 to noon on the East Coast. Go to ChadBensonShow.com. We're playing everywhere in your area. You guys have a blessed and amazing rest of the night, and we will do it again tomorrow.